Welcome back to the Friday 13th YouTube channel, Metalheads. I hope you're well. Today, you're going to be watching an interview with the mighty Gene Hoglan from the band Death to All, also formerly Death, and also with his band Dark Angel. Now, we all know Gene is a phenomenal drummer. He's one of the best thrash metal drummers out there. He's done some fantastic albums. So, please enjoy. Please share on social media sites and Facebook groups. I'd like to thank Gene for doing this interview. Thank you, my friend, and also to Willa for setting up this interview. Be safe, metalheads. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Gene. So we're going to talk to Gene from Death to All, Dark Angel, Testament, Drum Extraordinaire. So, Gene, I'm going to ask you some warm-up questions first because I've never asked you this before. As a drummer,
Okay.
which drummers inspired you to become a drummer? Who inspired you?
Well, I got to tell you, man, my very first inspirational drummer was probably Animal from the Muppets because I thought that guy was pretty damn cool. And so a lot of the early guys were guys like Peter Criss and Buddy Carlos, Tommy Aldridge, Cozy Powell, Neil Peart, definitely. And that started, that started leading me down the heavier path of I loved double bass growing up. Guys like Rob Reiner, he's an absolute early influence. Rob Wacko Hunter from Raven, a gargantuan influence. Just all the guys that could play the fast double bass, I was super duper into, and I was really into drummers that had you know taste as well, like Mark Craney from the Gino Vanelli Brother to Brother album. That's a tasty drum album. And guys like Terry Bozzio had some crazy fills and taste. And guys like Sonny Emery from Earth, Wind and Fire, just a lot of really tasty drummers. So I loved both extremes, like extremely tasty guys, real musical drummers, and the guys that could really go psychotic. I loved it all, but I love anybody that can make the drums be musical. And that's a bigger challenge than you might expect, absolutely. So
I mean,
I
I've
love
seen
to
you
do it.
live so many times, as you know, and it's like I watch you live, and you make it look so simple. You make it look so easy. I mean, you just the way you play. It's just like I can't be asked, man.
No, well, that's
It
pretty
just
fun.
makes me laugh when I just see. I think, holy shit! It just it's like watching Rob Reiner the same. You watch these drummers, you think, where's it all coming from? The power, but you make it look so easy.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. Maybe it's when you're doing something you really love, you're very relaxed doing it. And, like when it comes to some of the more like extreme songs that I've played or whatever, that's usually when I get the most relaxed is when I'm doing something really intense. I've always figured the more you can be relaxed while going into this intense song, or intense part within a song, that's going to be the most beneficial to you in order to you know uh, perform it, pull it off. It just get super relaxed, get into that zen zone, and maybe that helps me a lot, totally. And I've always told drummers, over the years, like, just try to relax as much as you can, especially the more extreme you are playing. Try to get super relaxed, and that will be to your benefit in the long run. Absolutely. Your muscles stay, less crampy, that kind of thing. So there you go.
So, what was your first drum kit that you got? Can you remember?
That was a Slingerland, and I don't know the model of it, but um, got it from one of my sister's friends, high school buddy, and I was 13 at the time. It was a Slingerland. It was like 14, 15, 18, 26-inch kick, single kick. Um, and so yeah, it was a pretty big, beefy drum kit. So that was pretty cool, and it had a chrome finish to it, which was like like the kit that
Yeah,
you
using
saw me
now.
with last time.
Yeah.
Chrome finish, something about a chrome finish that's pretty darn neat on stage. I'm a lot of big drummers have had the chrome kits. Cozy Powell, and I remember the drummer from that band Bitch. His name's Robbie something or other,
Well,
Bitch from
Betsy,
that's the
bitch.
Bitch. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
he had a big, huge chrome kit, and of course, Cozy Powell. Like I was saying, man, you just can't go wrong with a chrome finish on a kit. Blows up real awesome on stage. The lights make it look pretty sharp. So
It
So that's
takes a lot
pretty
of
cool.
cleaning, though.
Indeed, thank God I don't clean nothing.
Okay, then. So, I mean, when you look back at all the albums you've done with Dark Angel in the past, we're going to talk about Dark Angel. Which is your favorite album? Do you have a favorite?
I don't. I don't. They're all they're all like real special to me. Like for instance, Darkness Descends was my very first record. That was my very first time in the studio. So that has that has a super special place for me. And the fact that like that album has stood the test of time, I guess. It seems like a lot of folks still appreciate that album, the severity of it, and just the overall savageness at a time when thrash metal was getting well known. By 1986, thrash metal had established itself as we were the new, the new rebellious style of metal. I don't know, but and then along comes A Darkness Descends, which is even more extreme than a lot of what people were getting used to. People were barely used to, like Master of Puppets and Rain and Blood and like Peace Cells and things like that. And here comes Darkness Descends, just like, okay, let's just take all that, just like ramp up the intensity a million times. So I can see where that album went over a lot of folks' heads. So there you go. And uh, Leave Scars, I thought was a as good an album musically, but we suffered from a really poor production. That was the main fault against Leave Scars, I thought. Um, and Time Does Not Heal. That we tried to rectify the production issue that we had with Leave Scars.
Is that with
We
Terry
went out,
Date? Is that when Terry Date got involved?
we went out and got Terry Date. It's just like, let's put any kind of production issues you just to rest. You're gonna be okay with having Terry Date manning the production on this. So at least we've got that out of the way. Now we're gonna let the songs be the songs. And both Leave Scars and Time Does Not Heal, the band was in a bit of it wasn't turmoil at all. It was just a flux, I guess. There were changes. We brought in Ron Reinhardt as our new vocalist for Leave Scars. That was a polarizing thing. Some people dug it. Some people preferred the other vocalist. That's understandable. I get it. I remember Exodus probably had the same issues, trying to replace Paul Bailoff with Zet Sousa. Both guys are fantastic vocalists. And I do understand where people might just choose a side. It's not both of them. It's one or the other. I get it. That's metal
I
for
mean,
you.
I saw you in Bradford with Nuclear Assault and DAM, and you had Brett on guitar from Viking back when he
That's
was.
right.
Do you ever see Brett at all? Do you know what he's up to these days?
I do not see Brett. I don't. I've not been in touch. I tried to reach out. It was about a decade ago when I did an album for the band Viking. Viking kind of reformed, and Ron Eriksen reached out to me and said, "Hey man, you want to come play on this record?" I was like, "Yeah, man, totally." And he was like, "I've been trying to look for Brett. I've got this. I've got an email address for him. I've tried to reach out to that email address. Can you maybe do it? Maybe he'll listen to you." And I just want him to see. I just want to see if he wants to get involved in this record at all, play a lead, write a song, something. And so I reached out to Brett, and I never heard back. So, but I love Brett. Brett was awesome, man. He was one of my best pals, man. I dug Brett. I miss the man. Absolutely, man. Brett's a great guy.
I
So
think I think you actually played Europe with my friends Reanimator, I believe.
that's right. Yeah, we did. That was on the Time Does Not Heal run. I think that would have been. We did two separate. Yeah, that would have been the first Time Does Not Heal run, and that was also with Demolition Hammer, 1991.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So I mean, you've reformed for quite a few years ago, haven't you? And you must have a new album wrote now. Have you got enough material? Has it finished? What's happening with Dark
Well,
Angel? New and stuff.
all I can say is that there is very, 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 very exciting news that's going to be coming from Dark Angel very soon. Like I think it's going to make a lot of Dark Angel fans really happy. And you know, until we are able to let anything out of the bag or anything. There's a number of things that Dark Angel is going to be up to beforehand, but the most I could say is I think it's going to make a lot of people really happy. What's going on in the Dark Angel, in the as immediate Dark Angel future as we can. That's going to be pretty darn cool for a lot of folks. So I'm pretty excited about the future.
Right.
With all of my projects. So I'm really looking forward to the next coming months when we can let some people know what's happening, let folks know what's going on, and then also when they get the proof of all the things that are happening. We got Death Clock on the road on the run as well, and we got a lot of Dark Angel shows coming up. We've been doing like a Darkness Descends
I've
night,
seen you with Evil Dead, and
right?
yeah.
Stuff like that, and it's killer. God, we just did Los Angeles about a month ago. Yeah, it was right directly a month ago. Most psychotic show I played since back in the day.
I
Like
saw the
flat,
YouTube. I
any of
saw
them.
the YouTube footage of it.
Oh my God, Jesus, Lord of mine! It was from minute one of the first show to the final minute of the last show. The three shows that we did, like from 10 seconds in, it was the most psychotic thing ever. So way to bring it LA, man. Let me tell you.
Awesome. So, I mean, how do you see this next album differ from the previous Dark Angel album? Is it pretty savage like the early material?
Well, I can't really even comment on the fact that there might or might not be an album yet. But put it this way, if I were to have any new Dark Angel material, um, I would want it to be an extension of where the band is at now and where I'm at now. And um, I would probably approach the writing of it in a way that it's like as if Dark Angel never disappeared for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, or whatever it's been. It's just like we just kept doing what we do, and this would be where we're at right now. Which I would want to be putting out the most savage, heaviest material that Dark Angel could. And I'm no slouch with writing psychotic, heavy material. So I would be very, very excited with where Dark Angel's new material would be, if that would be able to confirm.
I hope it does. I mean, when you say psychotic, I know you're a fan of Psychotic Waltz like myself.
I see your shirt. I'm cheering about that.
You've
Hell
just been
yeah.
you've just been touring with them, haven't you? With their Death to All, Newcomb, Norm's band.
Right. Yeah. And that was so amazing, to having Newcomb on the road with us, having Norm Leggio on the road with us. He's a legend, Psychotic. They're a legendary band. And like we've mentioned on a number of occasions, and we've mentioned it live a couple of times, Psychotic Waltz was the, it was just the band for Death. That was our band. Steve DiGiorgio, introduced Chuck and myself to Psychotic, and that became all three of ours. Like that was like, let's put on some Psychotic, yeah. So that became our band, and so thank you, Stevie D, for introducing us to it. And what a great band, that A Social Grace record, their first album, that is all-time classic metal album, and I can air drum that one like a champion. I tell you, man, I've never even shown Norm how well I could air drum that record, but that's pretty cool.
I mean, if I remember rightly, didn't you play with Death, Nevermore, and Psychotic Waltz together in Europe, but you never played England? Am I correct in saying that?
Let me see. I know that we did. Let me see. It was Anacrusis.
Oh yeah,
And we,
that
we
was
had done a number of shows with Psychotic. We had done a few shows, but I'm not quite sure that we did an entire run together. And in the US, we did, it was Death, Nevermore, and Sacrifice.
oh, they were great band, Canada. Yeah, good, great band.
Absolutely, man. Good old Forward Determination. Yeah, man, that was a killing band. I remember they were on their Soldier of Misfortune record on that run. So that was pretty cool, man.
Awesome. So, I mean, I'll let to say I'm sorry to hear about Jim Durkin's death. That must have come as a massive shock for you guys. I mean, I went to see Cannibal Corpse last month, and Rob Barrett was wearing a Dark Angel a memorial T-shirt of Jim Durkin on stage, which I thought was
Right.
cool.
Yeah, man. Well, that was it was a shock to us. I'll admit. Like um, Jim has always been rather, mercurial with us. There'd be times when he would, like disappear from the threads, and that's when he had mentioned that, hey, there's going to be some times coming up in the future that I might not be able to make certain shows or certain areas of live gigs. And so, that's why he hand chose Laura Christine to be his replacement. And but his death was an absolute shock to the band. We did not know that he was about to pass. We knew there were some health issues, but we didn't know that we were about to lose our brother, and that hit us all like real hard. I was in the. We had just started that Death to All tour. We were about a week into it, and when I got the call from Ron Reinhardt, and we all chatted about everything. Everybody from the band was shattered. We knew that Jim would kind of disappear from time to time, but we didn't know that Jim, the last time he disappeared, he was going to be gone forever. We didn't know that. So when we found out that he had passed, it was just it was a real tough blow. And but all we can do is just keep moving forward. And Jim and we had gotten together a number of times to write some new material for Dark Angel. And um we weren't able to get it down on tape too much. We If Dark Angel has any new material, is a song that he's got on there that is pretty darn Dark Angel-esque. And so that's I guess that would be an in tribute to Jim. Dark Angel's new material will have a ton of his spirit all over it. His feel, whether he actually wrote stuff on the new stuff or not. His spirit is very there. Like
Yeah.
his imprint. His imprint is felt throughout thrash metal. I feel like even before I was in Dark Angel, I see Jim's influence on bands. And absolutely, so his legacy will live forevermore in the realm of extreme metal. Like, and so he will always, his style and his form will always be a part of Dark Angel. Absolutely, big time. So
Well,
but
I dedicated my website to him anyway when I found out he died, so I put him on there.
well, I appreciate that, brother.
That's
That
okay.
we all do. And thank you, Jason.
Okay, you're welcome. So I'm going to talk about Death to All. Who's the singer in Death to All? Is it Chuck's cousin, nephew, or something?
No, it's just his name is Max Phelps,
Yeah,
and um he was discovered through Cynic, because he also plays with Cynic. And um we've joked from time to time that, hey, that's Chuck's son. And sometimes people are like, oh
that's
no
what I
shit,
thought.
really?
That's what
Oh,
I thought.
right, yeah. But yeah,
His
he's just
cousin.
his Max is a fantastic musician who takes the legacy of Death, quite seriously. He takes Chuck's legacy very serious, and he just wants to perform, to the if somebody is coming out to see a band play Chuck's music, a band such as Death to All, Max just wants to give each fan the best representation as possible. And I applaud Max for that. Max takes real good care of himself on the road, because I mean, playing 28 shows in 30 days, that's brutal. Playing 17 shows in a row, that's brutal on a voice, on, just out there, period. How you don't get sick. I mean, Max takes really good care of himself on the road, and I applaud Max for that. And we love Max, and that's
Yeah, I
why
did.
it's,
I did something like 3 months with Anvil. That was
yeah,
intense touring.
right. And especially if in 3 months you've, 90 days, if you've done 84 shows in 90 days, kind of thing, that kind of equation, that's what Death to All tends to do. We'll play 28 shows in 30 days, no problem. And,
Yeah.
that's how that works. But, yeah, Max is great. He's really fun to be around, and we really enjoy, being able to bring Chuck's legacy, as well as our own. Like I was speaking with Christopher Steele before the tour, and that's Chuck's nephew, and he's got a lot to do with the Death legacy and how it is curated still. And I was just mentioning. Well, I was talking to him about, hey, we're really happy to be doing this. We're really proud to be bringing Chuck's musical legacy to everybody. And he's like, hey, man, just wait 1 minute. Like, this is you guys' legacy as well. Yourself, Steve DiGiorgio, Bobby Coble, you guys were an important part of Death being what Death is today. You guys were an important part of that. And I was just really touched by that, that thank you, thank you for noticing. That's really cool, especially coming from you, Mr. Steele. That meant a lot. So that was pretty cool. So we get to add that in. It's our musical legacy too. I'm proud of my time with Death. Stevie D is super proud. Bobby Coble as well. And if we can represent just the music of Death, Chuck Schuldiner's music, if we can represent that every night in a 2-hour show, that's the other thing. Playing all these shows in a row, we do a minimum of 2 hours a night, and it's pretty nonstop. So we would play 3 hours if we could, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
But there you go, man. We enjoy doing it, and it's like I'm not a big fan of the word nostalgia, but it is a really fun, like, trip down the metallic memory lane for a lot of folks, because a lot of people remember their first Death show, where they were when they first heard Death, or how much Death had an impact on their life. And so a lot of times we're playing, you're seeing tears in the front row, even to this day, like hardened metal dudes. There are guys crying in the front row, and that's pretty heavy, and a lot of folks will tell us, before the show or after the show, whatever, like, hey, man, I saw Death back in 1990. I saw Death back in 93 or 95 or 1988 or whatever it was. And that was the last time I saw them. And I thought I would never see them again. And this was almost exactly like seeing Death back in those days, so that's very cool. And a lot of people will say, hey, man, thank you very much for doing this. Like, I never got to see Death. A lot of the younger dudes, or, even guys our age, are like, man, they never came around to where I was living at the time. So, I'm really happy to be able to catch Death now. And hey, man, nobody's more happy to be able to bring it to you than Death to All. So there you go. We hope Death to All gets to continue for many, many years. Absolutely.
Good. I mean, I saw you on the Individual Thought Patterns tour in Bradford. I was interviewing Chuck and yourself on the tour bus, and then I went on the Symbolic tour. So I have some really good photos from Bradford if you ever want to see any, Gene.
Excellent. That's good. Yeah,
just get in touch and I can send you one by email. It's not a problem.
Very cool, brother. Thank you.
So the name Death to All, who came up with the name Death to All?
Well, that was it is back in 2011. I was doing a bunch of the Individual Thought Patterns album was getting re-released by Relapse, and I had a number of clinic tours coming up. So I dedicated those clinic tours to playing, the majority of Individual Thought Patterns. And a couple of guys came up and said, we love what you're doing. What would you think about, like, one of the guys got myself and Sean Reiner together, and we put the idea together of doing the first run, which was, let's get as many ex-members as we can, and just tribute the night, have a 2.5 hour show, whatever it is, with, the guys that played on each album come up and do songs off each album. It was a great idea. And then in order to continue it, it had to get pared down a little bit, in terms of personnel. But we have a fantastic representation every night, like this is, for me, this is the band that tributes death the best, because there's nothing that's off limits for us, as players. We play every, from first album to last album. We do lots of songs off all of them. We I guess we could focus on, the albums that we were directly a part of, but that doesn't sound like a lot of fun for a lot of people. It's like, okay, well, I got to see this little box of time, but I love all of Death's material. I love Scream Bloody Gore all the way to Sound of Perseverance, but I got to see these guys in Death to All play these 3 albums, essentially, maybe 4 records. That might not be a lot of fun.
No, do you think you'd be? Do you think you'd be doing a new CD then? Is there any plans to do a new album, or is it just a tribute to Chuck?
We've never talked about it. Like I suppose if we did something we just never, thoughts never really crossed our mind, really. I mean, we're here to play Chuck's music, and music inspired by death. I don't know, but hey, you never say never. Hey, you never know. But it's not something. I mean, because everybody is so busy in their all alternate lives, their real lives, that Death to All is a super duper fun. We love doing it when we can do it, and we always hope that we have time to do it. But I know everybody's super busy. I mean, like right now, we've got a little bit of, I guess, time that we could dedicate to it. But I know that 2024, later 2023, we're all busy. Me especially. Like, God, 2024 is going to be psychotic in terms of scheduling. So that's going to be a nuts year, and I'm pretty much, I guess I'm pretty busy until I'm busy until the end of 2023, and then 2024 is going to be just as crazy. So trying to find the time to do Death to All, we'll always try to make time. I'll always try to make time for it. But, it's challenging, but we always want to do it. Absolutely. If there's a demand for us, we'll be happy to try to fill that demand. Absolutely.
Okay, well, if like I say, if you ever get stuck for a drum tech and your tech can't do it, I'm available, Gene. Just let me know.
I appreciate that, Jason. That's very cool, man.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you very briefly, out of the Death albums you've done recorded, which is your favorite? Do you have a favorite of the previous albums?
Well, my favorite Death album is Human.
That's his man as well. That's no disrespect to you. That's when I heard Death go into a completely different form. It's like, holy shit.
Absolutely. Really me too.
So totally technical as hell.
Absolutely. And I had the same reaction, and I was really excited, and I had known Sean and Paul prior to that album. I was pen pals with Sean, and like when Death to All just played a show with, and we had Paul Masvidal join us for Flattening of Emotions. It was down here in San Diego where I live, but we were on the road, this latest run. And Paul was telling me after the show, or before the show, he was like, I remember when you and I and Sean, we were all pen pals, and we would send you lyrics, for instance, and you would like punch them up, and you would like, you would punch up our lyrics for us, and you gave Sean a lot of really good advice on drums, and I remember all that. It was really fun, but yeah, Human was just such a kick in the teeth, absolutely, in the best way, because I freely admit, man, by the time Death got to Spiritual Healing, I know that's a real popular record. I know a lot of people really enjoyed Spiritual Healing. It was very popular, but I kind of felt like Spiritual was lacking some of the just savagery of the first couple of records. It was starting to just feel a little bit not tired, but kind of like, maybe this has run its course. I sure hope not, because I love death. But and then Human came out and just wiped the slate clean and like, here's a new approach for all metal, everybody, you know. So that's pretty cool. But I guess I have really fond memories of both albums, Individual Thought Patterns and Symbolic, for totally different reasons. You know, I remember both eras really well, you know. Like just the Individual Thought Patterns, it has an immediacy to it because we didn't have a lot of time to put it together. Chuck was, you know, it had already been, by the time we got together to start working on Individual Thought Patterns, Human had already been out for well over a year. And so Chuck had to get on, got to get on getting this next record out. So we put that material together pretty quickly. And since I ended up sticking around throughout the Symbolic writing time, we were able to get working on Symbolic material pretty quickly after Individual Thought Patterns. And that just allowed us more time to live with the songs and get to know them. And it Symbolic had a much more kind of lived in feel for me. You know, it's like the songs, they felt a little better arranged. They, you know, a little better arrangements going on to them. We were able to really work out the bugs on each song, you know, and Individual was just kind of like, okay, here you go. We got this much time, get in there, do it. Individual, killer record, you know, had a lot of really killer tracks on it, as did Symbolic. And so just the fact that both albums had kind of stood the test of time is pretty exciting, you know, when we kick into Crystal Mountain or Symbolic or Zero Tolerance or any of those songs. People get really excited when we kick into, I don't know, Philosopher or Overactive Imagination or any of those two. People get excited with those. So we're pretty, we're pretty fortunate to. I'm pretty fortunate to be involved in a couple of records that, you know, have stood the test of time. And plus, Steve DiGiorgio introducing, fretless bass to the entire metal community on Individual. I'm not sure if that's the first album that I don't think it is his first fretless bass recording, but it was definitely, you know, the first one that most people heard. And what a mind-boggling performance he put on, you know. So Stevie D is my favorite bass player of all time because of, you know, his performances on Individual Thought Patterns. And I've always, to this day, I've always considered Symbolic to be a Steve DiGiorgio record as well. I know Kelly Conlon did a fantastic job on the album, but Kelly was brought in so late. Steve was a part of just everything with Symbolic, you know, like, just a part of all of it, minus the actual recording of it. So there you go. He was there with the writing and just, you know, he was there tons. So I always consider Stevie D, you know, a Symbolic member, even though it was Kelly. Kelly did a great job. Like I said, he did a fantastic job. Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. Gene. So I'm going to say thanks for doing this interview, Gene. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this on YouTube?
Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in, and I tell you, there's a whole lot of exciting stuff coming up from myself and all my projects and things. There are so many kick-ass things coming up for late 2023, early 2024. There's tons. So just if you're interested in anything I'm doing or any of the projects I might be involved in, just keep eyeing the social media content, and we'll keep you posted on all things that are relevant to my world. And you know, just I appreciate everybody's support, everybody that's come out to the Death to All shows, everybody that's coming out to the Dark Angel shows, you know, like we've got Milwaukee Metal Fest coming up in a couple of weeks. And then we've also got New York City. That's going to be great. We're doing a Darkness Descends show in New York City. So anybody interested in seeing Darkness Descends, holy moly, God, come out and try to outdo Los Angeles in terms of psychosis, man. Yeah, come on, New York. But there you go. But thanks to everybody for tuning in. Absolutely.
Well, have a good evening, good day, and keep in touch if you wish. You know where I am.
You take care, my man.
And I'll see you on the tour. Bye, Gene. Bye-bye. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too.